it was a long split, but I think there were a lot of things to be learned, to be gained from it. And I know that, I just want to get my initial thoughts out there before we dive into it. So let's talk some TSM. Welcome back, everybody. I am Robert Haynes, your guide into the world of TSM. For those of you who've been listening since the beginning, I haven't used that phrasing in a while, and I wanted to keep this episode a lot more just off the cuff, to be honest with you. I thought about it a lot. Last episode I went through the three different things, the three different games, what happened in them, obviously focusing mostly on the 100 Thieves game because that was the pinnacle game. Like, that was the one that was going to decide our future, essentially. And so, I just wanted to kind of just talk during this episode. I hope that's okay. I will say, let me know in the comments section below. I'll give you this one. Who was your most impressive player? Who impressed you the most during this split? Let me know. I'll start, and I will say it's got to be Maple for me, guys. I really was just impressed with. I used the word consistent a lot in the last episode, and I'm going to say it here again. He was just consistent. He was solid. He was pretty much always like top 5 for me. Even at his worst, it was like, oh yeah, like this guy still has got it. And I think this is the kind of Maple that we were hoping to get last year. And I'm very excited and hopeful that he will stay and that his future in the LCS will continue to only get better, because he's still a lot younger than I thought, considering he's been around since the beginning of time, it feels like, for League of Legends. So it's really cool that he played as well as he did. And I can't leak my votes for the LCS. So I won't, I guess, comment on who I did or didn't vote for with TSM. But that being said, I really do think that, he was awesome. He was great. He was just so much fun to watch. And I really look forward to what's going to be next. With that, I really just want to kind of like sit back here and discuss, because our expectations for this split, they were met. My personal ones were, hey, 8 wins, gets us there. And I really thought it would. In most years, genuinely 8 wins will get you top 6. This split was extremely close. Team Liquid also finished with 8 wins. We only had 2 teams that were completely out of the playoffs going into the last week. Even Team Liquid, I believe, had a chance had they won all 3 games. And so that, I think, in itself speaks to the growth of the league, to where I think the LCS is a lot stronger. And even the top teams, like generally, we're looking at teams that, they went, 17-1 or 16-2. Cloud9, yeah, they finished 15-3, technically 15-4, I believe. I don't know. They lost, or maybe it was, I don't know. They still have on here the records after the tiebreakers for some stupid reason. But, there wasn't, like, FlyQuest for a while were very dominant, but then they lost a lot in the second half. And the shininess and the newness of the team kind of fell off. And so, for me, teams like CLG really surprised. Evil Geniuses falling off. Golden Guardians really surprised. We surprised. Team Liquid the other way surprised. Yet they still got to 8 wins, which is not bad. It's the league is getting better, and the fact that our team of seemingly misfits, right, were able to get as far as they did is, I think, a testament to their own mental fortitude, to the coaching, to the management group, considering what they were given and what they had. After they apparently spent excuse me, out the wazoo last year, they had to recover and not spend obviously a whole ton this year. And they didn't, and they still were this good. Playing with players that I think, as much as I love them, none of them were the best in their roles. None of them, now some of them I think can be and were at different times in the top three. You went with a jungler who had deserved a chance, who had never really gotten a chance at a high, top four region, a major region, and I think he exceeded my expectations as well. The team played well together until they didn't. That Hunter Thieves game, it was like just they were on everything. It was just they were dominating the first 15 minutes of that game, and it felt like, all right, this team is primed for a 2-1 weekend. We're gonna walk right in, 9-9 sounds good to me. But they were unable to get it done, and I really do wonder what's going to come next, because it seems to me like TSM are not going to continue to put a ton of resources into the LCS. I don't know why exactly. Like, the LCS is still a pretty profitable place for them. The only thing that TSM is dominating in right now is Apex. And Apex, while great, I guess they're really good at Dota as well, but I don't know if that region of the world that watches Dota is bringing in a ton of TSM fans and money right now. I'd have to do a little bit more research on that, but at least in the Western world, the only other great team that they have, now that they've gotten rid of the Rainbow Six team, and I think even one of their two Smash players, I believe Twitch left as well, the only things that they have right now are the LCS and Apex Legends. And, we recently lost Walter. We lost Dominic right before that. Walter's been around for forever. Dominic obviously coming in last year and leaving. So there's just a lot of change that's going on with TSM, and I just don't know that we can expect them to be putting in more resources, despite what Reggie said, because I think whatever they were going to do, that plan has changed, which is why they did have to push things back until March. So, and we're however many days through March by the time you're watching this, and we still haven't had anything that has been thrown at us yet. So, it wouldn't surprise me if they ran it back with most of these players, to be honest with you. I don't know about all of them. There were questionable decisions to be made. I think I don't really question as much the Neo versus Wild Turtle thing anymore now that I've thought about it. Shifting into the actual team and not just the overarching TSM stuff. I really do think that Wild Turtle played way better than I expected him to. He wasn't looking great necessarily down on Academy, or on Challengers, excuse me, but that can be the case for a lot of veterans who just don't really want to be there. They want to be at the next level, but, you got to earn that, right? And I think Wild Turtle earned, potentially, another look. Now, I'm going to do a deeper dive into Challengers and see if there are young players down there that I think we could get on the cheap and still be able to start developing in time to hopefully make, a run at the first spot at some point. But, it just feels like that decision was made as things were learned more, right? Like, Neo was the youngest player on the team. I think they still thought that he had a lot in him, and I still think he does, but he played most of the season, it felt like, afraid to make a mistake instead of with confidence, which Wild Turtle brought to this team. I mean, he came in, and it was like a totally different team. They were able to play through bot side for the first time all year long. It took pressure off of Maple. It took pressure off of Solo/Hanser. And Wild Turtle had some pop-off games in a pretty strong AD carry meta. So I really like what I saw out of him, and I think that the decision was just something that was learned. They realized, hey, we need to have a stronger bot lane. All right, let's bring in a player who is, known for having a stronger bot lane than Neo. So I get that one. The decision at the end to bench Solo after that Hunter Thieves game, I don't know if maybe behind the scenes he popped off. He did an interview with Degon that I thought was pretty tame. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. considering they just lost a very important game. But he's always been like the vocal leader for the team and everything. I'll be very interested to see if they delve into this at all on TSM Legends, because it feels like instead of discussing any of the decisions, they just say, hey, this happened, now this player's here we go. I wish they would dive a little bit more into what the decision making was, even if it's from Chawi or Glenn or potentially even, from Solo himself. Maybe he decided like, hey guys, I, think it would be better for Hanser to be in or something like that, right? I doubt that, but, I even checked Solo's Twitter account and I didn't see anything of note. So, I really question that one at the end there. The Dignitas, like, would it have mattered? Probably not. We played the worst team and arguably at least the second best team in the LCS in back-to-back games. I think against Dignitas, I don't think it matters. Like, if they just wanted to give, Hanser time, because maybe he's going to retire or something like that, and Solo was like, yeah, you know what? Our chances of making it are pretty slim anyways. Like, let's just give him his shot. Good on you, Solo, if that's the way you went about it. But the Dignitas game, like, he had a great game, but I don't think that would have been any different if Solo would have played it. I think the game would have gone the same way. I do think the FlyQuest game might have gone a little differently. Not that Hanser was the reason that we lost or anything, but I think, having somebody new who's only played one stage game with you, going into a game where if you win, you could still have made playoffs. Had Cloud9 not randomly lost their game to CLG, we would have played a tiebreaker if we would have won that game and CLG would have lost against CLG. I guess TSM just weren't counting on that because they had that graphic ready before even the LCS did. So, it was a weird decision at the end. I will say it seems like Chawi, to his credit, doesn't have the problem with pulling the trigger to make a change where he feels is necessary. I just would really prefer that maybe next split, if you're going to pull the trigger, do it way earlier or don't do it at all. That's my only criticism right now with that. And, with that, I think they got to look really hard at, like, your expectations. Last thing I guess I'll go into here is throughout Legends and everything, and even just the verbiage, of the team, it's been, they exceeded expectations. We just want to try to finish third or fourth. TSM is a culture of winning. We are an organization that has won. Always. Right? Or at least been in contention to win. I mean, hell, we had teams with Acadian that went to finals. Right? And no shade on him. I know that was a lot of shade, but the guy was a solid jungler, but was he like the best or anything? No. And there have been other players too. I mean, even the Dardoch years, like they were winning some games here and there with him. I mean, there have been some really interesting players on this TSM squad. I mean, the 2021 summer team, like, basically, I mean, nobody was like a superstar, and that team still finished first in the regular season, right? Like, we have a history, a culture of winning, and sometimes you're going to go through bad times. That's cool with me. And I'm happy to be realistic. I think being realistic is important. But you should still be setting the goal to win, not just to slide into playoffs. And I think that's a mindset that, like, TSM fans have gone from we have to win all the time to, I'm just happy making playoffs. I think the focus for the team, for the fans, right, it needs to be the future. LCS teams, esports teams in general, orgs, it's all about the now. It's not about how do we set ourselves up for sustained success, right? And I just think that there are too many places, there are too many teams, too many organizations, owners, that have really weird expectations. And I think for this team moving forward, they have to take a very serious look at how do we get back to our winning ways? How do we get back to being the best? Right? What does that path look like? And you can do it. Everybody's going to be like, but money, money, money. You can do it without money. You can do it without spending a ton of money. Cloud9 is a prime example of that. The only player that I think that they initially, at least, were paying out the ass for is Berserker. They have found and developed Fudge and Blabber. They have converted Sven, right? They made a good decision, and they found Eminez on the cheap, and they found Diplex on the cheap to find their mid laners. You have to be looking. You have to be scouting. And I'm sure they are. I mean, with a limited, with one coach, it sounds like, and a general manager there to help him, like, there's only so much that they can do. But I hope that they spend this next couple months looking at not just what's the summer going to look like, but what is spring 2024 going to look like? What is spring 2025 going to look like? How do we get TSM back to a place of winning? Because guess what? Winning solves all. Winning cures all bad things that people may be worried about, right? Because that's just what it does. I mean, it's just people stop asking questions, right? You start making more money. It's easier to invest, right? And yes, one thing went wrong where we did the experimental, stuff from the players from China who are, I don't even know if they're still playing in the LPL at all. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're not at the highest level. It might be in LPL Challengers or Academy or whatever, but like, I mean, it's very clear that whole year last year was sabotaged by one guy's greed. Don't let that ruin the entire organization's history that is as storied as any team any team literally in all of esports. Okay? I mean, we are one of the most storied teams in esports. And at some point, like, you're going to go through the bads. That happens, guys. I want to say that. Like, you're going to have years that aren't great. That happens, okay? But you don't have to necessarily invest a shit ton of money to be able to be great. You just got to be smart and strategic, and then add some money in here and there where you need to, and smart money-making decisions, not just throwing money at whatever. And I think that, there's a chance that we can do that. I think we have players to build around, and I'll talk about that probably next week, depending on what else is going on. I can't promise that will end up being the topic, but at some point during the break, I will talk about the players that I think we should keep, the ones I think we should maybe say our goodbyes to. But I hope, at least for me, this has been, I don't know, refreshing to talk about it like this again. I like going through the games and everything, but occasionally I do like, a good in-depth discussion, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed that as well. Just, I don't know, let me know your guys' thoughts on all of this. I know it's a lot, but I wanted to get this, like I said, out there without any structure, and then we'll go back to some more structured stuff here starting next week. But I hope you guys please still watch the rest of the LCS playoffs. Pick a team that you want to see succeed, even if I know it's really hard to root for a C9 or a 100 Thieves or a CLG, so maybe you pick FlyQuest for Spica or Evil Geniuses because you're like me and you like Inspired and JoJo, or even Golden Guardians because Gory's really fun to watch, and maybe Stixay can find some of that playoff magic that he used to have. So with that, I will see you guys on the next one.